Welcome. Now that we've talked about online advertising and you have a basis of understanding of that, and now that we've talked about which online ads work well, we're going to talk about what happens after people click on an ad and where they go, otherwise known as our landing pages or destination pages. So here's what we're going to cover today. What is a landing page? The idea of choosing likes and trying to get likes on Facebook versus a sign up, and what are the pros and cons of each of those and where they apply as principles that makes the most sense when you're doing advertising. We'll talk about creating effective landing pages. And then, of course, how to measure success, how to see what's working, what's not, especially in this case, because with online advertising, we're spending money and we want to make sure that we're using our resources in the most effective way as possible. So what is a landing page? A landing page is essentially the destination that you've taken anyone to once they click on an ad. So normally it's a sign-up page, or it's a company's website, or it's a product that people have searched for, and this is the page on the website that features that product. But depending on where you're clicking on the ad, so say Facebook, you might actually be directed to like the page that's being advertised. So all this is known as a destination page. And then what we want to do is choose what type of destination page or landing page the people that you're focusing the ads go to, and what is the value of each of those. So first we're going to talk about Facebook specifically and Facebook advertising. First of all, because it's all the rage right now, but then also because when you choose a Facebook ad, you're going to choose between several different options. So when you put the information in for the ad, you're going to have to choose whether you want them to go to your website, whether you want them to go to perhaps a sign-up page that you've created that has certain fields that they enter information into, or you're just simply going to make an ad to get more likes on your fan page. So let's take a look at each of those and kind of the questions that you would ask in order to determine which of these three you want to do. So if you want to choose between whether you want them to go to your website, to go to a form page, or to actually just like the page, here's what you would want to use. You want to ask what's more valuable. Do you want to have an opportunity where they see your content and just like what you're doing, or do you want to find a way to get in touch with them? So there are different reasons why you'd want to choose each. If you want them to just expose them to your content, introduce the idea that you exist and see what your fan base is like, then maybe you want to choose a like ad on Facebook so that they become fans of your pages. If you actually want to get in touch with them, if you want to collect information and then contact that person in the end, so usually this works well with a nonprofit or an advocacy organization where, so say you've ever clicked on an ad from a politician in particular, they're going to want your email address so they can email you. So you're going to want to send those people to a landing page that is a sign-up page. The other thing that you might want to see is more valuable, brand of identification, and the idea that you have affinity for this product, or that peers should see that you like something, you find something valuable. That might be more of an advertising opportunity to get a Facebook like. Or if you want to contact that individual, get the information, seal the deal on a product. So say maybe you're selling something like a car, or you're selling something like music equipment. Then you might actually want to get information from them, like their email address, their phone number. It really all depends what you want to do. So let's take a look at a decision chart here. I'm going to break it down to give a couple examples. The type of organization, your strategic goal, and whether or not you should choose maybe a like or a sign-up page. And you would go about creating a sign-up page, through HTML. That's not something that Facebook would provide for you. So all you're doing is basically choosing whether you want to keep them in Facebook by doing the like, or you want to take them to an external web page. So here's an example. So say you have a nonprofit that wants to build a base of people to contact. You want their sign-up information. You want their email, their name, their address, their phone number. So you'd want to point them to a page that collects that. Here's another case. If you have a nonprofit and you just want to build recognition for an initiative, you want to not necessarily get their information, but you want to promote something. Maybe you want that like instead on Facebook. Maybe you don't need their information. You want to just have people see that they like this, that they support this initiative. Maybe that's a way to go. So once again, it depends on the strategic goal, not just the type of organization, because we have nonprofits there in both situations, but perhaps we're doing a different decision on where we want these people to end up going. A business, you want to sell a product. You probably actually in that case want to send them to your website's product page. You don't necessarily maybe need information from them. You don't necessarily need them to like you on Facebook. You want them to know more about the product. So you might put them to a product page on your website. And then a business or a media entertainment entity, say you want to just build that brand affinity, you want to connect with them, say on your Facebook page, but you don't have enough people on your Facebook page. Maybe you want to advertise the like there. So just to break it down, those are the types of organizations, some possible strategic goals, and then how you would choose. So it really, like I said, it just depends on the strategic goal of the campaign, what you're trying to do, and you're going to choose where you want to send them when they click on that ad based on that information. I would say probably 9 times out of 10, you're going to choose a sign-up page. And basically when people follow through and they go ahead and sign up, we call that a conversion or an acquisition, but generally call that a conversion. So when I talk about conversion or cost per conversion in a little bit, or cost per acquisition, that's what I mean, that people have gone to a sign-up form and they have filled out that form and entered into your campaign. Why do I like sign-up pages? And I tend to like sign-up pages a lot. What happens is it's easier to convert sign-ups into Facebook fans than vice versa. So say you have somebody click on an ad, you take them to a sign-up form, they sign up. When you give them a thank you page after that, you can say, great, thanks for the information, now like us on Facebook. When I've done that, about 30% of the people that are on the thank you page after they've signed up end up becoming fans on Facebook. That's through my own experience, but it's easy to take people off of your website and make them Facebook fans. Now, the opposite is not necessarily true. If you have a Facebook fan and you tell your Facebook fans to go to this website and fill out this form, you're not going to get very many people, in my experience, to go ahead and do that. So it's actually easier to, after people have signed up on a form, to become Facebook fans than vice versa. So that's one of the reasons why I tend to like sign-up forms, based on our goals, of course. The second thing is a sign-up form really gives quality information that staff can use to contact the people who have signed up. So if you have a Facebook fan, you probably don't have an avenue of contacting them other than Facebook. Whereas if you're selling a product, if you are part of a nonprofit or you're part of a political organization and you get that contact information from them, including maybe their phone number, their email address, their name, their address, it's easy for your staff to end up following up with them than on Facebook. So that's another reason why I like the sign-up form. And then with Facebook, they change their policies quite a lot. So sometimes I think it's really valuable for a company or an organization to own information. If Facebook changes something, or they change the rules of how many people see your fans stuff, or they change the rules of fan pages themselves, you don't own the information and you're kind of at the mercy of Facebook, who changes policies quite a lot of the time. So you control the information when you solicit information from them on a landing page. And I'll show you what those look like in a little bit, so that way we get very specific. Here's something else. This is from Appalachian State University. It said that 75% of people who have liked a profit or a nonprofit organization on Facebook, but only 69% of them said that once they like that organization, they rarely or never return to that fan page. So that is a very small percentage of people who end up going back to your fan page once they've liked you. So once again, that's an idea of putting all of your eggs into a basket when it comes to Facebook. So I like to view Facebook ads as a way to contact specific types of people, not necessarily to keep them on Facebook. We want to try to take them out of Facebook and into all of our contacts, whether it's email, whether it's phone conversations, whether it's door-to-door door knocking when it comes to like a political organization, or invitations if you're a nonprofit or a charity. That is some of the reasons why I like sign-up forms. So when we're trying to do this conversion or that acquisition, what we want is for that person to follow through what we want them to do. And so our ads and our landing pages need to feature those principles that I talked about before, relevance and resonance. So that not only do you find commonality with what they're talking about, but it resonates with you to such a degree that you actually say, yes, I want to be a part of this, so I need to sign up. Now, how do you actually make something so relevant and so resonant that they do follow through, that they do convert, that they do sign up? Because when you think about it, that's actually quite a lot to ask to people who have just seen your ads. And now you want them to do something. So how do you really convince them to go ahead and do that? The solution that I've found is to really break it down by different kinds of themes for different kinds of organizations and create different ads and then also different landing pages, different destination pages that echo that theme that they've clicked on. Because when they've clicked on it, they want to investigate more. They want to see more about what you have to say about that specific topic. So if you have one landing page for an entire company or an entire nonprofit organization, it's going to be almost too general because they've clicked on a specific message. You want that message to follow through from that ad to the page that they go to in the end. When you have one landing page versus many, it leads to lower conversions, and that increases the amount that you're going to spend to bring another person online into your campaign. So instead, you want to reinforce the very reason why they clicked on that ad. So let me show you how you break down different themes and create different landing pages for each theme. I'm going to give a case study of a Philly nonprofit called Fight for Philly. And I did some work with them, and I'll show you how we broke it down. Fight for Philly, in particular, has 3 different core missions that they talk about and that they do work around. One is around blight and decline in Philadelphia's neighborhoods. Another one is ensuring that people have good jobs. And the third is education for our future. And so what I did with them is I created different ads for each different theme. So I had 3 ads maybe that focused on that issue. I had 3 other ads that talked about good jobs and 3 other ads that talked about the value of education. And what we did was, in the end, we had one landing page about the theme of blight and decline, another one about good jobs, and then another one about education. So when people see an ad about good jobs, when they click through, they end up going to a page all about good jobs. Because they clicked on an ad, we want to take that message and have it follow through on the next page. So let me show you how that works. And the good thing about this is you don't necessarily need to change every single word on these landing pages. You can have a different cap and keep kind of the meat of the thing the same. So let me show you how that works. So here's one ad that we did. The idea was we were going into Northeast Philly and we wanted to promote the idea of safe neighborhoods, rather than a declining neighborhood. So when they clicked on an ad about Northeast Philly's decline, they went to a page that ended up talking specifically about the decline of Northeast Philly. I had an image here that was pretty striking, but the idea was that we talked specifically about that on that landing page. So if you notice, there are kind of three rhetorical proof points that we had, that we're worried about our children's future, we're worried about the decline of our streets, and we're worried about jobs. Now, those are the 3 points that I talked about, but the way that it's introduced and the way that it concludes when we ask people to sign up is all about that theme of decline. In another ad, we talked about resources, and that was one of the main themes we wanted to talk about. So, fair share resources. It's a different theme, but it's kind of a similar flavor, so it's part of the same campaign. When they clicked on that, they got to a different page that talks still, you can see in the bullet points, about the decline of the streets and our children's future. So we kept a lot of it the same, but the way that it's framed is about the resources. And that was what they clicked on with the ad. So all we're doing here, once again, is we're making relevant and resonant. What people clicked on is what they saw on the landing pages. And this is really what I mean by a sign-up page, if you were not totally sure about what I meant there. So you've got your email, you've got your first and last name, your zip code, your phone number, and then I like to solicit a comment so I can gauge their opinions on an issue. So that's what I mean by taking the messages and making sure that you follow through with them from an ad to a landing page. And you construct landing pages that are very much based on the ads themselves. It kind of seals the deal. It proves what your ad was talking about. So when we talked about before in the first video about how traditionally with regular advertising you had to kind of seal the deal in just one ad versus an online ad where you kind of pique somebody's interest, and then when they go to the page after they've clicked, it really seals the deal. So in combination, you have an ad and a landing page that work together to reinforce each other and then to get somebody to sign up. So we've talked a lot about ads and landing pages. How do we know if they're successful, and then how do we adjust based on either a success or something that could have been more successful? The best indication is if we could measure relevance and resonance, those same principles again. Was it relevant to the person? Did we target them well? And then did it resonate? Did they end up following through in the end? So how could we do this? A lot of times people want to say, oh, this ad went to 20 million people. 20 million people saw this ad. It shows the opportunities that we've created, but it doesn't really tell me, was this relevant to them? It could have been to 20 million people who were completely the wrong people. Did it show that it resonated with them? No, it didn't really. So the number of times an ad is seen doesn't necessarily measure relevance or resonance. How about the number of times people clicked on our ads? Well, now we're getting closer. They clicked on it because it's relevant to them, or they're curious about it. But does it show that it resonated with them? Maybe a little bit, not totally. Now, how about the number of times people clicked on our ad and then decided to join us? This is showing both. This is showing resonance and relevance. It was relevant enough to the point where they clicked on it and it resonated with them. It gave them such a feeling that they decided to join us. So that is the way that I like to use metrics, and kind of the scale of things and how things have worked. The number of times the ad was seen was very important. It shows us the number of opportunities. The number of times people clicked on an ad is very important too. It shows that it was relevant to them. But I like to collect the third. So I like to collect all of these components and kind of tell a story here. So how do we incorporate all of that into a metric? I like to use something called cost per acquisition, or CPA. And what that stands for is the total cost divided by the number of signups. So what I like to do for each ad that I create is I like to see how much we spent on that ad and the number of signups that we got as a result of that, or the number of likes that we got as a result of it, because a like can be an acquisition because people are following through with what you asked for them to do. So it's really just the total spend for an ad divided by the number of people that followed through. And what you can do is, so say I end up getting a printout of all of the email addresses, first, last names that I've gotten, their county, and then what I can see in this thing based on what I have is a source and a subsource. So I can see all these people came on Facebook because this was a Facebook ad campaign that I created, and then the subsource. So what I have is a little code here for each ad that I ended up doing. So what I can do is actually see which ad people came off of, and with a little math, I can see how much we spent on each ad and then the number of people that came in off of each ad. And then I can actually divide these out, do a little math, and see it cost $5 for one person to come in on the ad about blight in our neighborhoods, but it only cost $3 if we talked about fair share in taxes or something like that. So we know that that message is working better. And that's a nice way to do it, and that is called cost per acquisition. And what you would do, and we'll talk about that, is take out the ads that aren't working, that have a higher cost per acquisition, and then do more of the ads that have a lower cost per acquisition. And then we're getting more bang for our buck. So how do we reduce cost per acquisition? We can omit ads that aren't working well, so we've totaled it up, and we've figured out that it costs $8 for this one ad, and only $3 to bring somebody in off of another ad. That's a good way to do it, and you want to omit the ads that aren't working well. Then what you'll have is people coming in on less per cost per acquisition. You want to see if you're being direct enough, going back to the idea of relevance and resonance. Does it really resonate with them? We can check and see if our targeting is right. We can check if with what we're asking them to do. So going back to the idea of messages, are we being clear on what we want them to do? Or are they not interested? Are they confused by what we're saying? These are things that we can tell, and we can take away ads that aren't working. The other thing you can do is check and see which ads are working well based on imagery. So did image 1 work better than image 2? If we have the same ad text for two ads, but we just have different images, did one ad perform better than the other? So if that's the case, we can try adjusting our imagery and learning our lessons of our imagery, and then take away ones that aren't working and do more of the ones that are. And throughout this process, what you begin to learn is what messages are working best with our stakeholders by geography, by interest. You can begin to see what images are working the best. And basically what you've done is that focus group principle. You've seen what works based on using the idea of a focus group, essentially. So we've done a pilot test, perhaps. We've seen which ones work better than others. And then we go with that iterative marketing process, and then we choose the ads next time, and we create new ads next time that work based on what we've found. So you can do a small budget maybe for a pilot, maybe $5,000, and then when it's time to go, when you've learned your lessons, then you spend $25,000 or however much is in your budget, in order to know that when you spend this much money, you're doing something that's worked, that's focus grouped. And you want to use that principle when you do online advertising. So that's online advertising in a nutshell. What I'm going to do for this week is we're going to do an ad critique. So you're going to go out and you're going to find some ads, and you're going to comment on why you think they work, why you don't think they work, and just what your general impressions of them are, maybe how you'd improve them. So take a look at that assignment, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with.